Waterbaby will spend Season 2 of Centaurworld on Earth, after providing the bare minimum of support to Horse, who asked her for her help to go back to Earth, and is now staying in Centaurworld to look after the Centaurs instead of her. In this video, we are considering whether Waterbaby is even a true ally, because that is fishy, and not even the most suspicious thing she did. The greatest factor of suspicion is that she has been in favor of opening the portals from the very beginning, despite knowing that the Nowhere King is trapped between the realms. In her song she explains,
"A unifier, a bridge who'd connect those rejecting what needs to be done."
that means, in her personal opinion, Centaurworld and humanworld should be connected. That's fine, but she is aware that opening the portals means risking unleashing an uncontrollable power on both worlds. In contrast to the other shamans, who only care for themselves and their communities, Waterbaby made the impression of caring for the sake of both worlds. But if that is really true, her actions are contradicting her ideas. So, why did she support Horse's mission of opening the portals? Well, surely part of her motivation was doing her old friend Wammawink a favor. This definitely wasn't her only reason though, because if her desire to help the herd was strong enough to overwhelm her rationality that tells her to keep the portal shut, Waterbaby would have provided them with every piece of information that could have been helpful. Seeing that she didn't, not mentioning the Nowhere King in a single word, and keeping the woman's existence a secret, suggests that the reasoning behind her actions is tangled up in the show's greater picture. Her true incentive to open the portals has not been addressed in the show yet. Much to the hero's disadvantage, it's well within the realm of possibility that she is actually collaborating with the enemy. What hints are there that lead to the belief Waterbaby is supporting the Nowhere King? Well, firstly, as previously mentioned, she did not warn Horse about the Nowhere King residing in the rift when they first met. And not even when Horse was literally in the act, or when the herd wanted to run after her, did she make any kind of slight illusion that a killer blob of goo is waiting in there. She was also sparring with the woman to let the herd follow Horse. One might argue she didn't comment on the Nowhere King to ensure that Horse would go through with opening the portal, though the herd not backing down from checking on Horse after learning of the Nowhere King's threat demonstrates that Horse would not have refrained from reaching Rider 2. Hence, Waterbaby's silence must be concerned specifically with her views on the Nowhere King, instead of generally with the portals. Secondly, she did not give Horse her piece of the key on their first meeting, despite agreeing to help. The show has not presented any reason for that, because it was Waterbaby's sneaky method of ensuring she would be present when Horse is opening the portals. Her perceived orientation towards the Nowhere King further increases on grounds of her self-bestowed quest of visiting humanworld to uncover what he is cooking up. Without having discussed the need of someone taking on this task in the group, she's setting out of her own accord and explicitly mentions she's going to where the Nowhere King is. Is her mission the cover story for her real intention to meet the king and negotiate? After all, she did touch upon aiming to stop the war, and explained this is achievable by opening the portals. Putting an end to a war can be done two different ways: resolving the conflict or making one side win. Considering that this war evolved from 100% incompatible disagreements, the latter alternative appears likelier. Not to mention that connecting the worlds is undoubtedly adding fuel to the fire. Waterbaby knew that the unification equals releasing the Nowhere King, meaning it was her plan to provoke the conflict. What on earth could have convinced her that this is the way to salvation? this is a sensitive topic, but do you know how sometimes people are so exhausted and tired of a dire situation that at one point they stop caring how the underlying conflict is resolved, as long as the suffering the undecidedness creates finds an end? Knowing that Waterbaby is at least as old as Wammawink, it's confirmed that she witnessed the Nowhere King's terror firsthand. As proven by Wammawink's case, exposure to such cruelty leaves scars, leaves you traumatized, up to the point when you experience certain situations differently from everyone else, feeling irrational fear. Waterbaby probably could never shake the feeling that the Nowhere King is lurking in the rift, just waiting for his chance to attack. For her, the worst case scenario is that somehow the king would have broken free out of his own strength, and what would have followed are many years of agony. Instead, her traumatized brain told her to induce the Nowhere King's release and help him win the war. She does not believe beating him is possible. Thus, in order to stop the war, instead plans on accepting the Nowhere King's rule. However, she is horribly mistaken about the Nowhere King's ideology. No one besides the woman is aware of what the Nowhere King truly wants. Therefore, it is not even unlikely that others like Waterbaby underestimate his evil heart and falsely assume he's longing for revenge on a certain person or for power. Her betrayal would not be result of evil intent, due to the fact that she doesn't know or believe the Nowhere King really intends to kill everyone. Her motive is keeping the casualties to a minimum. Consequently, she could seek the Nowhere King to provide crucial information to him, thereby letting the fighting be over as quickly as possible. For example, in the Season 2 trailer, she, Ryder, and assumably the General are discussing their strategies, saying they should get all centaurs to the rift. She could be trying to manipulate the strategy so that it benefits the Nowhere King. I mean, yeah, sure, the centaurs all have to come to human world somehow, but concurrently, Waterbaby is suggesting to just gather all forces right here in the same spot. I'm no expert on war tactics, but that does sound like a perfect opportunity for an ambush, especially considering that the trailer includes scenes that kinda hint in that direction. All of this strongly creates the impression of Waterbaby trying to serve the centaurs to the Nowhere King on a silver platter. I remember how she was all like, we need to keep the portals open, knowing all so well the Nowhere King was about to walk straight into Centaurworld. But when she went into the rift and saw the king trying to escape to human world, she suddenly gave it her all to block the way to Earth. Anyway, apart from that, without being direct proof for affiliation with the Nowhere King, another peculiarity about Waterbaby is that she is the only one out of the shamans to not have settled down. The Whaletor, the Moltor, and Johnny Teatime all had their own territories and even subjects. The tree shamans stay in their forest and seemingly had been close with the alpacators in the past. Waterbaby, in contrast, is living on a mere houseboat that is constantly roaming Centaurworld without keeping any subjects or companions. There have not been enough explanations about the shamans to be sure of this, but let's bear the idea in mind that Waterbaby could potentially be an imposter. To be fair, in the end, we should mention that her betrayal is just as likely as it's not. Turning the situation around, a perfectly reasonable explanation for opening the gates would be, again, that she does not want to wait until the king unexpectedly turns up and prefers to face him head on, being of the opinion that if the old alliances between humans and centaurs are revived, well-prepared forces can defeat the king once and for all. However, if that is the case, there must be other strange reasons for her suspicious behavior thus far. We'll see in Season 2, and make sure to come back to Frogtoons after watching the season for more Centaurworld content. See you next time.